Hi my lovelies, welcome once again to PJ Chats, where we wear our pajamas and we share our personal journeys on anything we want, most girly things. Rest assured, it'll always be family friendly. It's Pits and Bits time. I always said it would be. Well, today's that day. It's Pits and Bits. And waxing specialist, Krista. I'm thrilled you're here.
I'm thrilled to be here.
I have had questions about waxing, pits, bits, legs, you name it, for a long, long time. And so this is a great opportunity for me to learn. And I think for many of us that have had those questions, we just haven't asked.
Absolutely.
But the original inspiration for bringing you in is when I did the swimsuit blog. It must have been a year ago now. And I was really surprised when I asked people why they don't wear a swimsuit. Women came back to me either on the public forum or privately to let me know some of those reasons that made them feel uncomfortable wearing a bathing suit.
Okay.
One of the big reasons women weren't wearing a swimsuit is because of hair. So not so much the hair on the leg was a concern, and even armpit hair wasn't so much of a concern. The big thing was what I'm calling the bits.
The bits, of course.
The bits.
Yeah.
You know? And so if that's holding you back from putting on a bathing suit and going and having fun in the sea and the sun, like, why?
Don't let it be. No, absolutely not.
Let's go straight to the bits, because that's the one that drives me nuts the most. Because if you are going to trim her up, you know, and I know I've been around a while.
Yep.
There's been all kinds of ways to do it.
Different styles, different methods, of course.
Yeah. And what I found is you can carefully trim up with a razor blade. Within 24 hours, you're covered in pimples. It stings like what's it. And it's worse than saying, hey, folks, yes, I have hair.
Right, of course. Well, that is actually one of the things that is a common concern with shaving. So you're not alone there. When we talk about hair removal in respect to waxing, waxing is actually always going to thin the hair. So shaving doesn't actually do anything to improve our hair texture at all. It doesn't make the hair grow back in thicker, which is a really common misconception. It just kind of keeps it the same. So when we are shaving, we have to constantly sort of irritate the skin by running a razor over it every day or every other day or however often you need to do it.
Or if you're like me, every 3 months.
Or if you're like you, every 3 months
should.
or just on a need-to-do basis. But it still is irritating. Yeah. And those pimples that you're seeing are actually ingrown hairs. So when we wax, we actually can manage the ingrown hairs because really we're just stimulating that skin once a month, by the way, which is how often you should be coming in for your waxing service.
Oh, that was on my list of questions.
Yeah.
So once a month, eh?
Yeah. So the way that our hair and skin grows and sort of goes through its growth cycles, which I don't need to get all scientific on you for the purpose of this chat.
We'll do an extended one for that.
It's about once a month that,
Okay.
Really to capture the hair before it gets completely out of control and more painful, really. So when we have exceeded that 4-week mark, our hair it's almost like we've never been waxed at all. So it's like our first time. If we're a sporadic waxer, it's like our first time every time, which is a big drag, right? Because we have more pain, we have more irritation to the skin. It's just sort of overall not pleasant. The reason people are pursuing waxing, especially in respect to the bits, is because the hair is so much coarser there. So you have more irritation from the razor. There's just more drag from that razor.
Right.
So then
it's a delicate place
It's
to
a
put
delicate
razor.
place to put a razor, yeah. So you can have cuts, you can have nicks, you can have more ingrown hairs because that hair is so much coarser.
And that's what it is, eh? Because it's
So
always
it's
the day
really-
after, because
yeah.
I guess you're chopping off the base of the hair.
And it's irritation as well. It's
Right.
a little bit of razor burn as well.
Right.
So we can really eliminate sort of all those things with waxing. And we can actually go ahead and use some really great home care and totally prevent those ingrown hairs from actually really cropping up and giving us a hard time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, that's already making me feel a bit better about it. I will
Absolutely.
confess, and you actually was very sweet. I said, I'm a wax virgin here, and you invited me to come along and get waxed so that we would know a bit more about it.
Maybe we'll do a part 2 once you have been waxed.
I don't know. Honestly, the thought of it makes my bum go tight.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
So is it uncomfortable as much as it is in my head?
There's things that we can do to really minimize discomfort. So One of the things would be having the hair not too short, certainly, but also not too long. So if it's been a while,
Right.
you know, or
never.
What you can do is unfortunately shave one last time, right down to the skin, and allow 3 weeks of growing time. And then the hair will be the perfect length. So I always say, you know, nobody's going to get out a measuring tape and measure their pubic hair, most likely. But we can know, okay, I've shaved on this day. 3 weeks from now, I have an appointment with Krista.
Right.
We can also use, you know, a man's buzzer unit with a guard on it to get that hair, you know, shorter, but not too short.
Right.
So yeah, about 3 weeks post shaving or 4 weeks post your last waxing is really the right time to come in.
And no matter whether you're a fast grower or a short grower?
I mean, there is certain exceptions.
3 months.
Yeah, there are certain exceptions for that for sure. Anybody who's had laser hair removal, people that are just, really slowing down on their hair growth.
Right.
A lot of people that have been waxing for a really long time, they just start to get so much less hair. And that's really one of the ultimate goals with waxing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, we want to have less hair overall.
And there's very different hair there than,
anywhere else.
Yeah.
Well, pits.
I know, it's getting confusing.
It's
It's pits and bits, but hang on. Pits
They're all
and bits,
rhyming.
Pits and bits, we're all right.
So the pits and the bits actually have similar coarseness on most people. Right. So we can actually almost lump them into the same category.
Okay,
yeah.
Except mine definitely grow at different speeds, just in case you're wondering. They do that.
I was.
Yeah. Oh. So what are the options? Say I'm ready, you know.
Okay, you're ready.
Wax virgin,
we're doing it.
I'm coming in.
You're coming in.
What are my options for style? Like, am I perming?
Yeah.
Am I doing a trim? Am I doing a creep buzz cut? Like, what's the options here?
Well, by no means are my services exhaustive, so I'm sure there's way more out there than what I can speak to. But in my salon, and every salon is a little bit different, we have 3 basic options. So we have the regular bikini, or what I like to refer to as the 80s bikini, really.
I miss the 80s. You know that about me, don't you? Okay,
I didn't know that about you.
Right, what the viewers do. This is every episode now we've referred to my beautiful era.
Oh.
Okay, so the 80s.
Fantastic.
The 80s bikini.
Glad I could keep that theme going. So yeah, we're really talking about the hair on the actual leg itself. So anything that's outside of the bathing suit.
Right.
So that is your basic bikini. We also have the French bikini, which is a slightly more tapered version of the regular bikini. So we're just coming up maybe a little bit higher on the sides of the sort of pelvic area,
right.
Maybe a little bit lower down. So kind of taking hair, you know, farther away from the belly button, so that if we're wearing a low cut style,
or
something like that, or just people generally want to feel just a little bit tidier than the basic bikini.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have what I refer to as a Brazilian, which can really be anything you want it to be, but when we remove basically hair from the labia and also the bum as well. So we're really getting into the bits in the Brazilian.
So you're saying to me that a Brazilian isn't just like your bits, like not just your undercarriage as well.
It's underneath as well.
Bum, undercarriage, everywhere.
The whole thing. The whole deal. We need to show an anatomical reference at this time.
Now, this was given to me, and Jockey, thank you for the bear, and I'm sorry, but it's the only example I have.
We're going
that had
to use
movable
it.
legs
Yeah.
and arms without sort of blurring the lines of family friendly. So
of course.
Here's little we'll call her Jockey. I think we had that picture in our heads of the 80s one.
Yeah.
The typical bikini.
Here we are with just like the outside of the leg, kind of where the hip crease really is, where the legs meet the body, like really from the hip crease out. So really it's the leg. It has nothing to do with the actual crotch so much, the 80s bikini. In my world anyway.
Yeah.
Every salon is different.
All right. So outside of the bikini, so long as you don't have a really, really skimpy bikini.
Yeah, and so then our French bikini, we're just kind of coming in a bit more on the sides here. So we're actually going inside of the hip crease, and maybe we're just going down a bit more, you know, so we're ending up with sort of a skinny, tapered kind
like
of...
a little goatee.
Sort of, yeah. I've never described it that way before.
In my head is that little goatee, and I don't know.
I like that, actually. That's good. So that's our French bikini, and then our Brazilian really is, you know... Well, this is a position that some of my clients end up doing.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Never question.
That was my next question, actually.
So we're coming in and we're doing the whole labia area, and as well we're doing the, really the crack of the bum mostly, but also if there's a little hair on the cheek, I tend to just get that too. Just get it all.
Get it all.
Get it all. And you can leave up top lush if you want. Oh. So really where the
I need to drop a tea.
Where the top of the labia really starts.
Yeah.
A lot of people leave what they call a landing strip, so just a skinny strip of hair, or a larger triangle up top, but everything down below is still taken away. So it's still a Brazilian, it's just what style you choose to go with. In my land, there's other salons that call every single different permutation of bikini waxing something different. I don't.
Right.
If I'm taking away your full bittage, it's a Brazilian.
That's a good word. So if your full bittage is gone,
yeah,
Brazilian.
underneath is gone. If I have to deal with that, it's a Brazilian.
And how did we get the name Brazilian? Or
funny you should ask.
Okay.
I researched this for my students, which I had heard before, but in Manhattan in about 1987.
There's the 80s again.
Yeah, there's the 80s again. And I was born in 1986, so the Brazilian is roughly the same age as me.
Me too.
It was 7 Brazilian sisters in Manhattan. They opened a salon, and they were really the first ones to do it. So that is why we call it the Brazilian still to this day.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay, now you know.
Now you know.
If you've wondered it like I've wondered it, now you know.
Now you know.
We're going to, let's talk about positioning.
Okay, so we're back to jockey.
We are back to jockey.
Okay.
So now...
Poor innocent bear.
You see, in my head, every time, because I'm a visual person, every time I thought of having my undercarriage waxed, which hasn't been very often, but when I have thought about it, I've assumed it's a bit like going for your pap test. Ankles together, knees apart, howdy-doody, you look at my vajiji and you see it all. And
well, we do see it all because we really need to get in there and really do the work.
Right.
So it seems a bit strange to phone up a stranger and say, hey, will you give me a Brazilian? But people do it all the time. And we really form relationships.
Well, you would have to.
You would have to, yeah.
You would have to. It's not sort of like...
It's not as strange as it sounds.
Right.
Because I am like a nurse, basically. So this is what I do all day. I am 100% comfortable with that. I want you to be comfortable with that. So if you're really a nervous person, what I would suggest is starting out with that 80s bikini that I was talking about. So you can still wear your underwear. You're covered a little bit more, and you don't feel...
So you keep your underwear on if
for
it's
the
the
basic,
80s.
Yeah, for the basic bikini you do. Yeah, so you can keep that underwear on.
That one.
So just to get comfortable with your practitioner, to really start to form that relationship, get used to the sensation of what it really is going to feel like to have that hair coming off. Yeah. And then as you get more confident, you can really start to think about maybe it's moving to that French bikini and then the Brazilian, or maybe you think, hey, you know what, I can do this. So you go right to the Brazilian. Either way, you have a trusted professional that, you're with, and hopefully it's that same person every time. So you're not showing your bits to everybody.
Yeah.
But if you're cool with that, that's cool too.
Well,
so we can access the body positioning in a variety of ways, but typically in a Brazilian, we've got both knees to the side so that we can really get in there and work.
Right.
And then when it comes to accessing the back undercarriage portion, we can do a variety of different positionings. Now, I wax pregnant women. I wax people that maybe aren't as flexible. So however we need to do it to access that area comfortably for the client is
right.
and so that I can work well is what we do.
And how long might you be in that position?
Not as long as you might think. A typical Brazilian would take me about half an hour, but that also includes the time it takes for the client to change and then redress after the service, and just final touches like tweezing or just touch up patches of wax.
Wow.
So actual hair rippage time can be as little sometimes as 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
Okay,
sometimes
that's
20.
good. So rippage, 20 minutes. And
it's quick.
Knees apart, so you've got a little table, like stirrupy kind of thing, just like
I've got a massage table.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit less clinical
Right.
than the gynecologist.
Right. And there's lots of different reasons for clients to have their any area wax. But if we're talking bits, and then we'll move on to other areas, but if we're talking bits in particular, So the primary reasons I looked at it for swimsuits and the appearance, but it's
course.
still about appearance. Are there other reasons other than appearance or preference that somebody might do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people, you know, especially in Victoria here on the West Coast, they're very active and they're into wellness and they really like taking care of themselves. So it goes back to that ease. So if they're going to groom because they work out a lot and they don't want, you know, a lot of hair trapping sweat and things like this, what are they going to choose?
Right.
You know, they're not going to choose shaving because of the irritation and the razor burn, and the ingrown hairs. And they're not just going to trim because of those times that they do need it for vanity purposes, like bathing suit season. They're going to wax because it's just actually so much easier.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it's not just for appearance, it's also for comfort.
Kind of hygiene,
sports,
comfort,
hygiene. Right.
ease of maintenance.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that goes from top of the bikini all the way to the undercarriage and back.
Absolutely.
Wow. I've learned a lot so far.
I'm glad to hear it.
I guess the pits, how is it different waxing the pits? Because you don't get the same, or I don't get the same brash when I shave there. It's not as difficult. It's just, you know, whop, and off you go.
Well, certainly the pit experience for people can vary. So a lot of people are fine to shave them, like you say. A lot of my girls have as coarse of hair in that area as they would on their bits. And when we have like sweatier areas of the body where there's a lot of rubbing, that can really cause our issues with ingrown hairs and irritation. With the bits in particular, often we wear like tight leggings or tight jeans. So there's more rubbing, whereas with the pits, there's not as much restriction clothing-wise typically there. So it can vary. Some people have no problems whatsoever shaving or waxing, and then other people have just as many problems with the pits as they do with the bits. So the hair is still coarse, so we use the hard wax again, so it's nice and gentle, so we don't have a huge level of irritation or of pain. The other thing the hard wax really does, kind of segueing a bit here, but
that's okay. You go for it. I'm normally the one who does that.
The one area where the hard wax is super amazing is really for pain management. So because it's gentler on the skin, it actually doesn't grab those top layers of epithelials like the way that strip wax does. So when we remove it, we're really primarily removing just the hair.
Oh,
so
so otherwise you might take the first layer of skin, you were saying.
Yes, which is okay in non-sensitive areas like the legs, which we're going to talk about. But in the pits, the bits, and actually I use the hard wax as well on the face, so for eyebrows and things like that. So we can actually really start to minimize the pain associated with the pits. And again, we're going to get that hair thinning. So over time, the waxing is going to reduce the amount of hair you get overall. So a lot of people, they're playing a long game with getting their pits waxed. You know, it's not just for that momentary smoothness. It's really so that over time, they're going to have less and less hair coming back and less coarseness of texture coming back as well.
And would you recommend you come in and just get it all done on the same appointment? If you're a pro at it, if it's not your first time or anything, you just come in, whop it all off?
Come on in. I mean, today's woman is busy and we want efficiency in our lives. So rather than having to schedule multiple appointments all the time, just come in and get it all done. I do a lot of multiple services in one. So I have clients that are in for their brow, half leg, Brazilian, or people that are in for their underarm, full leg, bikini, you know, things like that. So
now, when you say half leg, I'm picturing, you know, do me right and my left. But you're thinking bottom half, I'm assuming.
Bottom half. So bottom half goes from like really the ankle to the knee, above the knee. And then alternatively from like sort of the hip crease to the lower part of the knee. So either half. Yeah,
because don't hate
front
me,
and back.
None at the top.
Well, perfect. And you don't even have to worry about it.
Until you get to the bits again.
Yes,
and
right. And then we start to see some again.
Yeah, there's just nothing. Like I've been trying to grow these just for this episode.
Right.
3 weeks on, that's all I've got you.
So we can definitely wax that. See, if you look at the individual hairs, they are actually long enough. You just have really sparse growth and really fine growth.
I've been growing that just for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I was going to show you the rest too, but I promised it would be fun.
Usually the coarser the hair, the more pain.
Right.
You know, and the pits and the bits are tender areas. Yeah. So, you know, the leg skin is pretty tough. The arms, like the actual forearms.
Yeah.
That really is not too bad. The Brazilian and the pits can really hurt, I will say. But really, when you're when you're coming in every 4 weeks consistently, that first time is the worst it ever has to be. And after that, it just becomes, I mean, it's not painless. You feel it, but it's really manageable.
Right.
I mean, I have been getting waxed myself every 4 weeks for 10 years now. And trust me, if it was horrible, I wouldn't do it because I have really bad pain tolerance for sure. Yeah.
I was just going to say, and as women, of course, we handle so much pain that we're quite all right with that. So, I mean, so far, and I do want to deal with hair elsewhere too.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, over time, my body's changed a lot. And because of my surgeries, I was thrown into menopause really early.
Oh.
And so some of the things that I never expected, I've now learnt. So there's going to be a PJ chat on my white pubic hair.
Oh,
because,
good.
When did that happen?
When did that happen?
And along with that is, as you said, the little chin hairs.
Just got some beard action happening.
I've got a beautiful one, and I lose it every now and again, and then I try to find it.
Like, where is that?
It just sticks straight out. Like, it's not curly, it's not round the corner. Straight there.
Yep.
So, hair sprouting elsewhere, and ironically, of course, I'm losing hair on my head. So, with sprouts that pop out everywhere, you wax those as well?
Absolutely.
Now, what's the benefit if I've got one or, you know, half a dozen a year and I'm plucking versus waxing when it's head hair kind of?
Like on the face,
neck, wherever else it sprouts
So
out,
a lot of women think that it would be really inconvenient to wax your face because you would have to let the hair grow out. But it really is the same appeal as anywhere else on the body. So we are going to work on that longer term hair growth reduction with waxing. So with waxing, the way that we reduce the hair is when we pull the hair out of its root, we actually damage the follicle. So with tweezing, we can actually tweeze that hair at any length. I'm sure you've had it where it's just barely sticking out of the skin and you can tweeze it.
Yeah.
So we're actually not capturing it at the right time in its life cycle as a hair. So there's a specific time that we really want to do that in the life cycle of a hair. So when we wax, it's the perfect length. We're pulling the hair out. We're doing the most damage to the follicle. When we're tweezing, who knows what life cycle we're getting it at. As long as it's out of the skin, we can tweeze.
The life cycle of a hair.
Yep.
I like that. I feel like we're hunting it.
Yes.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, totally. We kind of are hunting it, really.
Yeah.
So when we're coming in for our facial waxing, we can sort of coordinate everything so that we're doing our wax, we're coming back in 3 or 4 weeks, and we don't actually have to do this. You know, we're not in the car in the good light looking for our...
While you're driving. No
don't do that. But, you know, we're not in that zone of trying to like tweeze the hair constantly throughout the month all the time. And often I can do a better job of spotting those chin hairs or those neck hairs than you can because you're trying to, you know, look around the contours of your face and kind of try to feel for them. I'm in there. I can grab it with the wax, no problem.
It's interesting now to see that how people are dealing with different things, coming to a level of acceptance. So I'm not going to avoid going swimming if I suddenly realize I haven't shaved. You know, it's you're looking at me, I'm not looking at me. So if my armpit hair offends you, too bad, so sad kind of thing.
Right.
But
I find that refreshing, by the way.
Well, you know, you got to, right? I mean, I've spent a lot of my life hiding parts of me and coming into this full bloom of realizing this is it. This is beautiful. This is lovely. It's natural. It's real. At
100%.
the same time, though, I'm still going to get my hair cut.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm still going to go for a massage. I'm still going to make sure
because it feels
my
good,
skin's
right?
Not right. Yes, it's a gift to yourself. Again, keeping it in balance. You know, I'm not going to do a mani pedi every. Well, I've had one
in your life.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
We'll have to get you going for a mani, girl.
But those kinds of things, it's a matter of, and I worked in clay, right? There would be no point. It was just rip them to pieces in no time. So it's about that balance and about choosing, is this for you? Is it what you want to do? What do you believe it will give you? And if you can answer all those in a way that's comfortable for you, then go for it and find somebody who's safe and healthy and respectful to work with you on that.
100%. Well said.
I'm not sure I'm ready for the bits wax yet, but I'm thinking, you know, I may come and explore, and if I do, you're the girl I'm coming to.
Oh, well, I would love to have you. That would be fabulous.
If I'm going to do this, I want somebody who's kind, respectful, understands not just the process of it, but the person's process they're going through as they do this.
100%.
And checking in why we're doing it and how often we're doing it, all that good stuff.
We don't have to go full Brazilian right away, you know?
No,
Doesn't have to
we
be
can
that way.
We can start here and see how we go.
See how we go.
So remember, it's life before looks, but if this is something you want to do your research. Krista has a website. You can contact her on Instagram and Facebook if you have more questions about it. Even if you're the other side of the world in doing this, give her a call, give her a chat, send your messages, and we'll do our best to answer them. This has been PJ Chats, where we wore our pajamas and shared our personal journeys. And this episode, it was on the pits and the bits, waxing and taking care of yourself, making sure that you're doing what you want to do in the way you want to do it with people who can take care of you. Until the next time, folks, leave your comments, leave your feedback, subscribe to the channel. This is PJ Chats from Cheryl-Ann Webster, creator of the Beautiful Women Project, and Krista. Take care. Look at the links at the end, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.